Welcome everybody. As I was saying, this talk is going to be entitled Uncover the Future of Assessment. So we're going to explore a variety of practical techniques, strategies that you can clearly apply in your lessons, right, when it comes to assessing our students. I think that Jason has already introduced me, so there's no need probably to repeat all of this, right? But just for you to know, I'm a teacher of English. I hold a diploma in English phonetics and phonology, as well as in educational management, a postgraduate degree in English language. I'm speaking examiner, teacher, trainer, but most importantly, I share this passion for teaching. And I really hope that we can all benefit from this talk. So feel free to share ideas, experiences. I mean, this is all about sharing, building up together knowledge and experiences that probably are worth applying in our lessons, all right? So ideas, comments, more than welcome. So I would like to begin my talk by making reference to this well-known and recognized education philosopher, Danowski, and I love this quote. Assessment, far from being extraneous, it's an integral part of the learning process. And let me tell you that I think that his words clearly capture the essence of probably this talk, in which we're going to delve into theoretical foundations as well as practical applications of assessment in on our daily basis, right? So that we can redefine the way in which we're assessing students. So I'm pretty sure that when we think of assessment, we as teachers and even our students, everything that comes to our mind has to do with negative words. Oh, it's difficult, it's hard, challenging, even frustrating. And we don't want that, clearly. We just need to move from that negative mindset into a more positive, right? Assessment needs to be part of the learning process. But as I said before, it's a process. It's not just simply one particular technique so as to grade students, to get a number, and that's it. All right. So my challenge would be just helping you to move from that formal, let's say, type of education, right, and to project a new way of assessing students. And in order to do that, we need to just simply reflect on a couple of theoretical things. So I know this part might be a little bit tedious, but I think that it's worth mentioning that probably nowadays what is happening is that we're using assessment as a way of learning. It's assessment, as we call it, of learning, in the sense that it is connected, it is associated with formal evaluations, right, in which we use assessment as a synonym of measuring, right, of setting established goals, standards. And let me tell you, not everybody gets to those standards, right? And that's why our students feel frustrated. No, I know it does give us a whole picture, a kind of a snapshot of my students' progress, my students' situation in a particular period of time. So yeah, they are helpful, but it's not the only way in which we should be assessing our students. So we need to just move of assessment of learning into assessment for learning. And in contrast, this type of assessment, it's a more dynamic one, in which our student is an active participant, in which we capture evidence throughout the learning process. And together we set new challenges. Together we decide on different goals. And we as teachers, as educators, we support our students. And assessment is a great opportunity as well to learn. So consider assessment as a way to learn and to improve our critical skills. And students need to be active participants, reflecting on their own purposes, goals, setting together with the teacher new goals. It's a great opportunity of self-reflecting on how they're doing, right? And I think that together, all of these categories contribute to the purpose of education, right? Which is mastering, of course, knowledge, but also helping students, right, to develop certain skills that are must for the real world, right? So it's, again, it's not all about just getting a particular mark, right? So I think that probably the big issue comes when we consider assessment as the synonym of evaluation. And assessment and evaluation are not the same. So that's why we need to have this clearly in our minds, that we might talk about assessment and evaluation like two different categories. Evaluation, those activities that, well, they're just created with that particular purpose of checking if our students are meeting those objectives or not, right? Whereas assessment is a whole process. It's gathering information. It's gathering evidence from my student learning path. And together, teacher, student, we set new objectives, and we use that evidence to take the sessions and to even alter the direction of our course. Another way of categorizing probably assessment has to do with formal and non-formal assessment. Okay, so once again, that formal assessment or summative assessment clearly helps us to collect valuable information, data, so that we can create statistics, and we can also, as educators, decide on how we're going to approach our course of studies. But I think that it's all about striking that balance. So non-formal assessment provides that opportunity to apply a variety of techniques and to cover a wide range of needs. And this is the moment in which we're talking about personalized differentiation or differentiated learning path. Through non-formal assessment, we get to cater to all the diversity that we happen to have in our classrooms. So again, it's not that one thing is better than the other. We need both, right? We need them both to coexist. But my challenge in here is to share with you some techniques today that will help you to apply non-formal assessment together with formal assessment in your classrooms, okay? So the purpose is that we do not judge our students' work. We don't just simply focus on the quality, but we increase the quality through assessment instead of evaluating our students. And again, I may sound repetitive, but we do need, it's imperative to actually think of innovative assessment practices nowadays. I mean, education is constantly evolving, and it's a must as teachers to provide a varied opportunity to cater to all students' rhythms, to all students' needs. And I think that that's the only way in which we can allow our students to feel empowered, to be able to reflect upon their own learning process, in which we are taking everybody into consideration, considering all the diverse learning profiles through innovative assessment practices. So I would like to start sharing one of my favorites that has to do with the use of e-portfolios. And this is an interactive tour that it might sound kind of time-consuming, because you might think of, well, I've got to teach students how to use an e-portfolio, how to create it, how to build it up. Well, it might be a little bit challenging at first, but then once that they know exactly, when the objective is clear, it's student-centered. It's all about the student feeling empowered. It's their own portfolio. And let me tell you, students know how to use computers and apps way much better than we do. So feel just free to use it. Don't be scared. It works perfectly fine for all ages. In here in Argentina, we use it from kindergarten to even tertiary level. And I am talking from my own experience, and it works. What is it that we just simply do? We provide students with a template, and it could be a template from PowerPoint, from good slides, or you can just even be more creative and use apps like Canva genuinely. And through that template, students will capture some snapshots, videos, recordings on their selected pieces of work. And it's all about building it together throughout the year. So there's no point in doing it just when the end of the year is approaching us. I mean, the purpose of using e-portfolios has to do with applying them from the very beginning, right? It's a whole construction that needs to be done all along the year. So students select the activities that they feel proud of. It's a self-discovery journey. They select, they take a photo, they explain why they enjoyed that activity, why they feel proud of it, what is it that they have learned. And these are real extracts, let me tell you. No, this is, for instance, a photograph taken from an e-portfolio that belongs to a student from year 3 from primary school. Right? And it says, in this unit of inquiry, we learned about different legends from our country and the world. Well, careful with punctuation over there, but we also made drawings and our favorite parts. So you see, they describe what they did, what they enjoyed the most. And that's the photo that the student took by himself, right? So in the portfolio, you provide the opportunity for the student to introduce himself or herself. Then they start collecting a variety of activities, projects with their reflections, and it caters to all tastes, because there might be some shy students who do not want to just simply appear. So instead of recording themselves, they just simply text, not like this, they write shortly. Or some others record videos, or some others just an audio. So it's so interactive that it really allows every single student to adapt it, to customize it as they want. And what we do incorporate, just in the very last slides, is a final opportunity for students to reflect upon their own learning with a metacognition activity. And here we got this image of a tree, but it can't be just any other, in which they are the ones placing themselves into the roadmap, into a tree, and they explain, well, I feel I'm here just hanging from a branch. I still need to keep on fostering, I don't know, punctuation or verb tenses, or I'm still struggling with math, so I need to keep on working on it. No, I feel I'm on the top, no difficulties. So it's great for teachers as well to see how is it that they categorize themselves, right? And we do also allow them to share through the last slide objectives. Well, for next year, I do want to work on this and this and this, right? And it's a fabulous way so as to replace the tedious teacher parents meetings, because what we do is we carry students-led conferences in which students show their own portfolio to the parents. So it's fantastic. So instead of having those meetings with parents, no, and teachers being the ones telling them, well, with this and this, it's their kids showing what they have done throughout the year. And as I said at the beginning, this is something that we do not only in kindergarten, primary school, even secondary, but I do also apply this technique in tertiary level. And for instance, we work on literature, and they collect all the different pieces of writing, and from those brainstormings and draft copies to the final clean copy. And when we get to the end of the year, it's fabulous to see how much they have improved, and they reflect on their process, and it's really fabulous. So give it a try, and once that you've got the first template, let me tell you, then everything just will go smoothly. So trust me, at first it sounds that the implementation might be a little bit challenging, but they work way much better than we do with technology. So another technique that has to do with listening to our students, catering to all diverse learning profiles, has to do with differentiation. And we love using stations or centers, right? And creating those roadmaps and cards where they decide on which activity they want to work on first. But we do know that there is a particular objective. We all know that we've got to get there, right? We also use tic-tac-toe activities. It's fabulous because, you know, you've got to place in the middle that compulsory activity. And then students decide on what they want to work on. And of course, we provide them with a variety of activities that will apply to all tastes. This one in particular, the one that it's on the corner, is a real tic-tac activity that we implemented in year 3. Once again, we were getting to the end of a unit from this book, Easier Trot, from Roald Dahl. And we came up with this idea because we didn't want to just simply evaluate students with the traditional exam. So, well, we placed in the middle the book recommendation because we needed a written piece, right? And then students had the opportunity of being assessed through a video, a trailer, creating a collage, creating a cartoon, creating a characterization, or even the typical mountain plot. Well, a variety of activities that, well, this has to do with multiple intelligences, and they are the ones who are deciding on which activity to work on or which activity they will be doing first. We know that we got to get to this objective. For example, in the case of the tic-tac-toe, it's the one placed in the center. Then I decide, I got to choose 2 activities so that I create the full line, and it's done, the purpose of this game. In the other case, with the roadmaps, well, they know exactly that they got to cover all of the passages, and, well, they decide on which they're going to be working first. So it's quite a challenge for them, but they are active participants, and we listen to their voice. And talking about listening to their voices, it's very important when we are building together the rubrics. Students need to take active participation. So rubrics are a must, and I think that it's the only way to be transparent when it comes to learning objectives, right? But if we ask them to take part into the creation of the rubrics way much better. Okay, that's like rule number one. Secondly, rubrics are not just simply a tool that are used by teachers. Rubrics should be also used by students. So it's a valuable resource for both teachers and students, because through the use of rubrics, we allowed metacognition to take part in. Students will know exactly which are the objectives are, and they also reflect, and it's a way to show whether they have understood or not. And it also gives us that possibility of creating differentiation work, because throughout the rubric, we can also perceive that. Notice the one that it's on the right with the images of those plants. In here, for instance, it's a rubric that we use for oral communication, which is divided into 3 different levels, right? The one that it's placed in the middle, the green one, is the one that it's for the average students. And we do also work with high achievers, with the ones that probably are struggling a little bit more. So throughout the use of rubrics, we can also allow the possibility of working with differentiation. And now that we're talking about reflecting on our own learning path, metacognition is one of my favorite techniques as well, because it provides that opportunity for students to explore their own learning. And as teachers, we get invaluable information. And there are plenty of techniques, templates that if you just Google exit tickets, for instance, you will get quite a number of activities. You see that you've got the brain dump, in which at the end of a unit, at the end of the week, you can just ask them to write down as many ideas, concepts that they have learned, all the typical, well, write 3 things that you have learned, 2 things that you're still not that certain of, 1 thing that you still wonder, that you still feel it hasn't been answered yet, that you want to learn, right? Or placing yourself into the teacher's shoes, or even drawing. So there are plenty of different techniques. My favorite has to do with, for instance, with the one that does also allow within the exit tickets to deal with feelings. I think that emotions are a must when it comes to as well reflecting on our learning process, because we know clearly that if our students not feeling well, if there's something going on when it comes to emotions, that will also affect and interfere into the learning. So we as teachers, we need to check on how our student is doing, not only when it comes to knowledge, but also when it comes to feelings, right? So I think that it's a great opportunity to get real-time feedback from our students so as to make the right decisions, okay? So remember that we started from this concept of assessment as a process, as an opportunity to learn, right? Not only just simply to collect a mark and to judge our students' performance. It's also a great opportunity throughout the process to establish, to set new goals, to make new decisions, right? So this is a way to collect feedback, real-time feedback on our students, all right? Opa, what about artificial intelligence? We hated it, we loved it. Wow, I think that it's clearly one of the tools that we need to start incorporating nowadays, not only when teaching, but also when assessing. How? Well, for instance, when we do writing, what we ask our students is, well, have a go. This is what you have written. Now ask ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever app you're using on artificial intelligence, to provide you with another technique, to provide you with another piece of writing, another sample, then compare. And finally, with those two pieces of writing, the one that was generated by the student and the one generated by the artificial intelligence, create your final copy. So let's use artificial intelligence, right, as a resource. For instance, we do also use it when it comes to art. In art lessons, I know that, for instance, they have used Canva, and they have a part, Canva. It's brilliant because it provides nowadays with a sector that uses artificial intelligence, and you can generate any kind of image, right? So the art teacher came up with this brilliant idea of, well, I'm going to generate an image that combines this painting technique and this other. And then what she did was showing that image to students and, well, you got to tell me which is the painting technique being used in here, or the other way around. Well, this picture applies this painting technique. Is that true? Why yes, why not? So you've got to be creative and start playing, and do not consider artificial intelligence as your enemy. On the contrary, I mean, I think it's a valuable tool that it's here to stay, I'm afraid, no? So we need to just simply consider it a friend of ours and start incorporating it and give it a twist, no? So that students can benefit, and we as teachers can also benefit from it. Needless to say that we can plan and generate activities out of the blue, and we can also apply differentiation through the use of artificial intelligence. And, well, talking about being creative, I think that this is one of my I wouldn't say favorites because I love them all of these techniques, but it's the one that surprised me the most, let's say, because I wasn't the one choosing this way to assess my students. It was actually my students' idea. I was working in year 6 from primary school. We were dealing with this unit of means of communication, and we had to assess students in a certain way. And they thought of, Marcela, what if we use this application and we generate a escape room? But no, that's a game. That's not a way to assess you. No, but well, Marcela, we got to the site on different challenges, and I gave it a thought. I said, hey, this is fantastic. Because first of all, it was my students' idea. So they were active participants of their own learning. And it's an exciting and unconventional method. And it placed me into something totally out of my comfort zone. But somehow it allows my students to develop lots of skills. Critical thinking, problem solving, because it's not that easy, creating an escape room. They got to think carefully of different challenges, complex problems that they need to overcome so as to be able to move from one room to the other. So we're assessing students' ability to apply knowledge and skills, even in a real case scenario. Collaboration, communication, because I made sure that throughout the process in which they were together building this escape room in groups, they were using English because I'm a language teacher, right? So I had to make sure that they were communicating using English. And it was all about getting to agreements. Well, no, I don't want to use this object. No, let's do this. And it's all about being able to convey the message, to get to agreements. So communication skills are a must in the whole process. Creativity, innovation. Well, designing a escape room, it's not that easy. So students need to think of unique scenarios, unique solutions as well, so that it's not that obvious, so that it really presents a challenge for the participant. And as teachers, we collect valuable information from the escape rooms, because we can see the whole process in which students need to convey an idea into a real, a concrete activity. They got to use the language, they got to apply knowledge, they got to get to agreements, be flexible, open-minded, they got to collaboratively create this escape room. So it's fantastic because it gives us real time data, and later on we can use that information for this decision-making process that we do apply as teachers. And most importantly, it motivates students. It really engages students. So gamification should be part of the way in which not only we teach, but also we assess our students. And they were so motivated. They enjoyed this activity so much that it was an activity that required no effort at all for me when it comes to being teacher. It was just simply guiding them, checking if they needed anything. It was fabulous. And if I'm not mistaken, that most of them created the escape room again with Canva. And there was one group that used Genially. But they are the ones who know exactly which is the app, the platform that it's best for their particular escape room that they want to create. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, they truly enjoyed it. And once again, it meets that diversity, and preferences and tastes from our students nowadays. So to sum up, I think that what I have presented here probably are not that new, but it's all about being ready to give it a try, to experiment, and to allow students to place themselves into agents of change, into active participants. And I think that we got that purpose of pursuing educational excellence, but I think that education is way much more than just simply collecting data, and it's all about helping students to acquire skills that later on they will be able to apply on a daily basis in the real world. And we got that responsibility as teachers to guide them, to provide them with that feedback that will benefit both teachers and students. So I think that if we make the effort of applying some of these techniques, it will also affect the way in which students perform in those formative tests, right? Those evaluations. So it's all about being a process. It's all about considering and rethinking on our practices so that we place learning as the real objective. That's why I selected this phrase that has to do with our role as educators. It's not just simply getting our students ready to pass a test, to get a particular degree. It has to do with getting them ready for anything. So we need to foster agency, 21st century skills, and give it a thought when it comes to assessment. Do not just simply be stuck on the formal way of assessing students, but think as well on the whole process. As I began my talk, saying that it's all about striking that balance, not that one way of assessing is better than the other. It's just using them wisely and to move from that assessment of just simply checking on students' quality and learning into providing them with a variety of learning opportunities. Assessing is a great opportunity for them to learn as well, to take the sessions and to enjoy mostly the learning process. Okay, so thank you once again for this fantastic opportunity to share some ideas, practical ideas. I know that it was kind of short. There are plenty of other things probably to share, and I invite you to visit some of the links and articles that I've got in here published. So if you just scan the code, it will take you to this link tree, and there I've got some practical ideas and many other topics now when it comes to practices, educational practices on all levels of education. So once again, it's been an honor being here. So thank you for your time.